Good morning, people in Dhaka and people in Bangladesh, and good evening to everyone who's watching us from the Eastern time zone or wherever it is evening right now. I'm Mehdi Hassan, your host of another episode of the Silimidon podcast. Today we have two new guests: the president of the Bangla Warriors Cricket Club of the Scarborough Cricket League, Abu Rubayat Alam, and he's also the disciplinary committee head of the Scarborough Cricket League, and the disciplinary committee head of the Bangla Warriors cricket team, Mustafa Daud, Adib Bhai, our favorite. He's also with us. He's also a member of the board of the Bangla Warriors Cricket Club. A very famous, a very known name within the Toronto and Canadian cricket community. I welcome you both to the show.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bangman.
Yep. So we'll talk about a lot of things today. We will go about a lot of things. But first of all, we're doing this in English because today we are also catering to a non-Bengali speaking audience. So that's why we're keeping this in English so that our non-Bengali speaking viewers can also understand and perhaps even react to what we're commenting on. I'll come to both Abu Bhai and Adib Bhai about many things today. But first on my agenda is the ping ball tests or the day-night test matches that we have now. I'm not necessarily talking about the ping ball test that just concluded yesterday between India and England. My monologue is pretty much about ping ball tests in general. When I think it was 2015 when the first ever day-night test match happened, and from there onwards, I think apart from Australia, no team has had a real hold on this particular version of the sport. The ping ball test or the day-night test, and then came the numbers on the back of the players' jerseys, which I believe was a good move. But apart from that, the day-night tests aren't necessarily serving to what they were originally designed for. They were originally designed for more competitive test matches and more enjoyable test matches that people can enjoy at a later hour as well, because during the week many people have to work. We can't watch test match for 5 days unless probably it's happening in Australia and we're living in the Eastern time zone, so that makes easier for us. But especially for the South Asian contingent, it's difficult to watch a game during the day. But we don't really see that much of fight among teams, regardless of conditions or regardless of whatever it is. They have been, and it's not that we are playing day-night test matches just for like a couple of months. It's been 6 years that this thing has been around. So I'll come to Adib Bhai first. Adib Bhai, I want to get a gist of your general feeling about day-night tests. And is it too early to comment on it that this is probably something that's not going to end up well? Or there is just a lot of check marks in what areas the sport can improve in terms of the day-night tests or the pinball test? What do you think about? What's your thoughts on day-night tests and pinball tests in general?
Thanks, Bangman. The day-night test, actually, I believe it came as a different flavor to the test. So if you go to a restaurant and they're selling you rice and chicken, and you go on the next day rice and chicken, again you go on the rice and chicken, right? But if you
Mhm.
go on the fourth day and you see the menus change, chicken and rice,
Mhm.
right? They just flipped it and they made it from rice and chicken to chicken and rice. Oh, this is something new. So they tried to brought a flavor to Test cricket where they believed the Test cricket was dying at one point,
Mhm.
which my personal belief it was never dying. It just didn't have enough games to play on with other countries, and because it was either always India, Sri Lanka, or India playing with bigger
Mhm.
teams. Same with the other nations as well.
Mhm.
So they brought this so people can actually get enjoyed more because the T20 was grabbing the spotlight,
Mhm.
and the to ICC the day night test match would bring more people, more viewers, so they can get it on with. It's not too early, as you mentioned. 6 years is a long time
Mhm.
to get an answer to see what's happening. But the matches that we're watching, it could have been more competitive. Could have given us more what we expected, that what we see on Red Ball.
Mhm.
At least drag the matches to the fifth day. Then it would have been much more enjoyable to watch, where the matches are ending in three or four, or like earlier than we
Mhm.
expected. So I
Hmm.
believe there's more research to be done to see what's going on, and I believe also though at nighttime the pitches behave different than obviously it behaves in the daytime. It's
Hmm.
probably more dead than it's
Hmm.
alive in the nighttime, right? So that's what
Hmm.
my thought is.
All right, all right. Thanks a lot, Adib Bhai. I'll go to Abu Bhai with the same question basically. Your thoughts on the trajectory that ping ball tests or day-night tests that have had so far within the last 6 years. We have seen some ping ball tests in Dubai with Pakistan. We have seen, I think, one in West Indies. Bangladesh and India played a ping ball test match. Now India and England just finished playing one. India went to Australia to play one, and they got bundled out for 36. So overall, is this making it more fun in any way? Have you been more excited to watch a ping ball test match, or how many times has it happened that you have been so excited to see a ping ball test match and the game did not excite you at all in the end? So your overall thoughts on the ping ball tests?
So personally, for me, there was, initially there was a lot of excitement. So,
Mm-hmm.
I watched the India Bangladesh series where they played under the
Mm-hmm.
lights, and it was interesting to see, what the ball would be doing. There was a lot of talk about a lot of swing, the balance of the equation going back to the bowlers, almost right away, which is something that's been missing as well on the test side. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, other unless you were in very specific conditions, especially in the southeast or the Asian countries where we have almost dead pitches. I feel the ball would do a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
With the pink ball. So initially there was that hype that you would see a change in the dominance from the batsman to the bowler at this initial part of the test. So we're kind of seeing that in a way, but at the same time we're kind of moving away from the whole test cricket being like a chess match, really, where you're playing a session by session. The captains get to react to what's happening. You get to recover from mistakes and whatnot. So it's definitely a bit different. Has it done enough to interest people? I think we're still finding this out. I feel that we still haven't had enough night cricket, pink ball tests yet. Um, I'm hoping there are more, test matches between sides that are more balanced out. Hopefully with the World Test Cricket Championship, that might happen a bit more. But I still think we can give it a bit more time.
All right, all right. Thanks, Avoy. And that brings us to the question of something that happened more recently, the India and England Test match. Uh, to me, I'm probably running against the crowd here or the general perception of this Test match, because yes, I do agree that on a competitive pitch, especially in the subcontinent, England doesn't have a bowling attack that would get India out for 145. Joe Root got 5 wickets, and he actually said it in the post-match conversation that you can realize what kind of a pitch this was that I got 5 wickets. But again, I think that was a bit sarcastic as well. I think Michael Clark once got 6 wickets for 4 runs or something. That wasn't necessarily a terrible pitch. It was his day, once in a lifetime day with the ball. But coming back to the discussion, that a lot is being said, especially from the English media, that India is preparing pitches that would absolutely not suit the opposition. I think what always gets overlooked, that EU basically do the same thing. You always did the same thing with touring teams, be it India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, or whichever touring team. England always did that. They have green tops where Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad would rip apart. Even like the Australian batting lineup once got bundled out for 60 odd, I think. So I think that got never talked. And in this process, other teams learned how to play against the moving ball a bit better. They produced better fast bowlers a bit better. Like India has a pretty formidable fast bowling attack now. So I think instead of preparing their young cricketers to play spin better or preparing more like better spinners themselves. I think it's how many years are we seeing Nathan Lyon being the only spinner for Australia? I think it's been for eternity that Nathan Lyon has been the only spinner for Australia. So on a personal note, I do agree that the India England series, the pitches are definitely not prepared to have extremely competitive cricket, and as a fan or as a keen observer of the game, I don't necessarily see it as something extremely wrong, because that's what I've been brought up to see. Every team does that when it's their home game. That's why I don't have a specific reservation about that. Do either of you do have a specific reservation about that? I'll start with Adib Bhai. Any specific thoughts on test matches being finished in within 2.5 days or 3 days in these kind of conditions, or test matches being finished in extremely seaming conditions? Those test matches also get finished in 3 days, by the way, but the English media is a bit biased that they would never talk about that.
Well, the thing is, like, if it's a good test match, right, and there's a lot of competition going on, and it finishes on third day, I can accept that. But what I saw with India and Australia, sorry, India and England, my apologies, India and England, I woke up, I saw that, okay, England is batting, and by the time I had my breakfast, got in my car, they're all out. So I thought something was wrong with my phone or something was going on. I couldn't believe my eyes that within a matter of a couple of hours, they were all packed up. So if they are coming to this mindset, they have had a chance to bat on the first inning, so they know how the pitch behaved. So obviously England cannot say that we were shocked for the second innings. They know how the pitch was behaving. So did India, because both teams scored less than 150 at the first innings, so they knew what they were up against. I thought that England would have hold on better onto their horses and not give up their wickets so easily, but the spinners that India has produced, or India's bowling lineup, Akshar Patel and Ravichandra Ashwin. Ravichandra Ashwin obviously has become one of the top lines spinner attack for India, and again, he's just I believe he's just warming up, and he has more years to provide. So that you have, this is probably the third match they're playing, and know the strength and the weaknesses of these bowlers, except for Akshar Patel, obviously. But yeah, I do mind if a match finishes on a second day where I have all my days cleared up to watch the rest of the days to watch the matches. I don't know what to do for the next 3 or 4 or the fifth day to do.
Abu Bhai, I'll bring you to the same discussion. I think since the Test Championship has come into the fray, everyone is a little bit more excited about Test cricket anyway, because this is no longer that that only Bangladesh and Zimbabwe are playing a one-off Test match, or like South Africa and Ireland is playing a one-off Test match. Nothing like that. This is competitive cricket. This is competitive Test cricket, and people are playing it, like especially the top 4 countries in India, Australia, England, and New Zealand. They were playing it for the top prize for the entirety of the tournament. So what did you make of the India England Test match? Or I think we're all in agreement that this kind of a pitch is probably not suited to have a 5-day Test match. But did you find any sort of exaggeration of how the English media is probably phrasing their perceptions?
Personally, I think it wasn't a surprise that it was a spin friendly pitch, right? So I'm actually surprised that the bowling quality that England brought into this Test match, right? So they know the spin is going to be the dominant factor here, and I felt they were short there. And at the same time, again, it's not news that India does this in terms of pitches. So, I was expecting better preparation from England, playing it out a bit more, as Adib Bhai said. I think England themselves, they were lacking. At the same time, the game finishing in 2 days, 2.5 days, that's not for me, that's just too much. Personally, you have, I would say, England, India, I would say, top 2 cricket teams within the Test arena, and I was expecting a bit more competition between the two.
Yep. And yeah, I agree on that. That I was like, for us, I was thinking that I will enjoy the game from tomorrow because it's the day night test is in a very weird time zone for us. I wake up and see like half of the game is gone. I was also excited to like watch day 3, 4, and 5, but yeah, that's completely gone out of the window. But I think where England is making it a bit funny that you're talking about the pitch, this and that, but at the end of the day, of your 20 wickets, probably 15 of them fell to arm balls. So the ball didn't even spin. So uh,
That's right.
yeah. So if there is a debutant bowler, Akshar Patel, he was nowhere near India's test scenario. He was brought in for this series, and this guy is like taking 10, 12 wickets every day, and you pick your best batsman along with Joe Root, and they can't read an arm ball. I think that's making India's case a bit stronger. That okay, if you can't bring players who can't play arm ball, we won't be helping you with like flat pitches where you can just bat out for 5 days. I think that's what Indians are thinking. But
So
going, yeah.
I just want to add one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
So one thing I found out was that England seemed to play the Pacers with a bit more caution, and that was expected with the ping ball and stuff. But then, as soon as the spinners came on, I felt like they didn't really spend that time there. And then on top of that, just looking at the pitch, there were I saw the highlights, and there were a couple of times where I noticed the pitch was breaking up. Like this was on the second day, almost end of the first day. You could see the dust coming off the pitch. So there's definitely some issue there that needs to be handled, but it's definitely there's something for the English side to clean as well.
Yep. And also, like, not even the second day. I think I saw footmarks on the first day, so that was
Right.
that was surprising. And what was also surprising is that like India really hyped this game up because they opened the largest stadium in the world and everything with what facilities it has. But yeah, definitely you would have to have better pitches to have better matches in these kind of scenarios. And one thing I also find regularly is that even if it was a good pitch, India would still probably be like top favorites to win the game.
Agreed.
anyway. So sometimes I don't understand why they do that, because if you just play a normal cricket, you're still winning. Why do you have to force it like this? That's kind of nonsensical to me sometimes. But Adib bhai, we'll move away from the India-England series a bit, and we will talk a little bit about Bangladesh team now. The Bangladesh cricket team is now in quarantine in New Zealand. They're there to play 3 ODIs and 3 test matches. I'll get a little deeper into the discussion, but first of all, I want to ask, do you see Bangladesh winning even one game?
Sorry, Prangan, is it 3 test match or is 3 T20?
Sorry, 3 T20s and 3 ODIs.
No, definitely.
My apologies.
So,
Yeah.
No, that's fine. The 20 T20s, I don't see a chance. As you can see, what is currently New Zealand is doing to Australia. They are taking full advantage of their full squad. Even yesterday, Australia had a good chance, but New Zealand held the nerve and pulled it through. So T20s, I'm sorry to say this, I don't think Bangladesh has a chance. And this is the honest truth from me. One day, maybe one match, if they can win one match, I think that would be a big achievement. Because as of right now, I don't think we have any win against New Zealand in New Zealand.
No, we don't. We don't have
So
any.
one match out of the 3, if we could get one, that would be a good boost enough. Because we have traveled to New Zealand in many times and we have beaten badly in previous or where New Zealand won by a big margin. But yeah, if Bangladesh team can manage to get one win, that's a win on my belt that I will carry on with pride, even though we lose the series. But yeah, as you mentioned, the T20s, I don't think they have a chance. I'll tell you the reason is New Zealand is smart. They know their ground. They know which side the wind is blowing. They know where the ball will pitch and where it would bounce. So when you play in a New Zealand ground, especially in Dunedin, it's a small ground, right? When as a South Asian player, when we go to play in New Zealand, we see one of the ground is smaller, right? And our lights keep on ringing, like, we're gonna try to score runs on that, and we're gonna try to score more runs on that. And but what happens? The New Zealand bowlers are not stupid, so they'll sit you up, they'll lure you in, and they'll trap you, and they'll get you out while you're trying to hit a ball on the shorter side of on the ground. So that's my point of view, or my perception, where I see that Bangladesh team, how they can manage if they can hold on to it, like, not fall into the trap of the small ground and just play normal cricket. I think they have a good chance of winning one ODI, and hopefully, fingers crossed, one T20, but one ODI for now.
Yep. To Abu Bhai, my question would be that what Adib Bhai described, I think it's very apt. That I also personally don't see any chances in the T20s. What I'm hearing is Kane Williamson might even not bother to play the T20s. He'll probably only play the one days. But even if he doesn't, I think the New Zealand team is still far stronger in their conditions. But about like this whole conversation about that, if we can win one ODI, I think this kind of a discussion was appropriate for probably 2010. But since then, we hosted a World Cup. We played another couple of World Cups, made to the quarterfinal of one. Like, we're still talking about going overseas and winning one limited overs game. Me, as a very harsh and regular critique of Bangladesh cricket, I would ask you, Abu Bhai, is it not like going back to where we were probably 10 years ago, that we're still talking about winning one game in an overseas series where we are a full-fledged test playing nation? We have at least on paper, we have every facility available to the players and everyone, but we're still talking about going to another country and taking this is a big deal for us, that if we win one limited overs game. How do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, the biggest problem here is this, right? New Zealand is just too good. I mean, you're seeing what they're doing to Australia, right? So I would consider Australian conditions to be at least closer to what New Zealand has. And if they are not able to cope, then Bangladesh is still ways behind, because we just don't have that exposure. So I think that is one of the deficiencies for the Bangladesh team. In terms of winning, I'm still a big Bangladeshi fan. I'm really hoping, we at least get a couple of matches out of this tour that we can be proud of. And, win or lose, I will still support them. So, I'm looking for more, personally, I feel Bangladesh team itself is in a transition period. They were, so far they've been enjoying probably one of the best generations talent-wise in our cricket, right? So, but I feel that is starting to wind down, and they are looking at the future at the same time. So I'm interested in seeing what the team makeup is like. Are they going to be looking at the future? Are they going to be looking to win? What do they have to gain here? Are they looking forward to getting ready for the T20 World Cup? Right, so that in itself is going to dictate some of what the outcome is going to be like. Not having Shakib there is also a blow. Personally, I mean, he's on his day he can be a match winner in any condition. So he is a trump card, and I feel he will be missed. But again, this is the time for somebody else to step up. We need our new Shakib. We need a new Mushfiq, right? So I think that's what I'm looking forward to. Our new talent, somebody stepping up. Hopefully they get the opportunity here. So.
All right. Yep. I think also it goes on to show that there is a bit of lack of planning as well, because we're thinking that, okay, we'll go to this series and probably figure out who should be our number 3 in the next series, or we were still thinking about these basic things. Every other country apart from Bangladesh who plays test cricket or plays all 3 formats knows who their number 3 batsman is. They know who their number 3 batsman is for the last 5 years. They know who their number 3 batsman is going to be in the next 5 years. But we try to take this, tournament to tournament or series to series basis approach. And I think the most hilarious thing to me about Bangladesh cricket would always be that we have two batting orders in 2 innings of a test match. That is just unacceptable at this level. You can't, like, your number 4 batsman sleeps at number 4. He eats at number 4. He doesn't know at the morning of the test match that he's going to number 3 or number 5 on the morning of the test match. So I think there are certain things that Bangladesh has to follow a template that the other teams are at some point of time. We have one question from Pollock. We'll take that question. We'll just circle back to the India-England series a little bit, and then we'll talk about a little bit about North American cricket and Canadian cricket in general. I'll ask both of our guests, what Pollock's question is basically that, do you see any chance of England coming back into this series? I don't. Do you guys see them do you guys give them any chance coming back into this series?
Well, the next Test match will be played at the same venue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, same venue, but red ball test.
Yeah, red ball. So, right, I believe England has a good chance of coming back, but they just have to figure out who to play and get the best 11. For example, like Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson. After a long time, they played together in the test match, which was yesterday. So when I saw the match lineup, Jofra Archer, Stuart Broad, James Anderson. So I thought it's going to be a bouncy, good pitch, because obviously you're not going to put your 3 best pace ballers where the pitch is going to be dead in half an hour. So I thought it's going to be good competition, right? Those 3 ballers will ball pace. And I'm sure that England, the captain, the management gets a pitch report from the curator, and they tell them how the pitch is going to behave. So I don't know what happened. Maybe they read it wrong, or they're just too overconfident going with 3 pacers. So I'm still hoping that England will pull back, because, if they don't, there's going to be India playing against New Zealand for the World Test Championship. So England has to, do or die. They have to pull back, and I would love to see a very good comeback from them, because the Joe Root 200 that he scored, I hope it wasn't a fluke, because he is a top-class batsman, as well as the other players in the team. So fingers crossed. I hope that England comes back and proves everybody wrong. It wasn't meant to be, and they can give a fight to India.
Yep, Abu Bhai, I will twist Pollock's question a bit, and I'll actually have a question of mine to you. Suppose you are the English cricket team, or like you are someone at the top of the English cricket team now. Regardless, England have no chance of reaching the final. They have to take a decision. If they win, Australia goes to the final, plays New Zealand at Lords. If they draw or they lose, England goes to the final and plays New Zealand at Lords. And it's the worst part for England is probably that it's at Lords. So if you're the English cricket team, do you just play your natural cricket and take the natural turn of events, take their turn? Or do you take a decision, like, who do I hate less between India and Australia in cricketing terms? Because both of them are like they're England's cricket rivals. That how do you take that decision, who to send to the final?
Personally, I don't have a preference. I feel, the best team should make it to the final. And from my perspective, the beating that they took in this Test cricket, I feel they should come back, and they should come back hard. I'm hoping they have learned from what they've done in this last Test, and they can adjust their team, change their mindset at the pitch as well, and in bat long, get that game into the fourth, fifth day, and then see how it turns out.
All right. Yep. That makes complete sense. All right. So we've talked about India-England series. I on my notes I have the last part about Canadian cricket. So Adib Bhai and Abu Bhai, you both know that although I'm not directly a player of Bangalore Cricket Club, but I've always been very close to people who are connected with the club. Very close.
You are part of the world.
But when I came here, I actually knew about Bangalore Cricket Club even before I was in Canada because of Hassan and Pollock. But when I came here, I was very surprised to see that how big cricket still is, because my perception was always that in North America, basketball, baseball, and everything it is true. They are still far dominant, but still the energy and the enthusiasm I saw for cricket in here, and I saw for even football in here, was pretty surprising to see. So I'll start with Adib Bhai, as a member of the board of the Bangladesh Cricket Club, and also as a player at the Scarborough Cricket League's top division for so many years. What's your overall impression of Canadian cricket at the moment? At what stage is it? Do we see far better things from Canadian cricket within the next 5-10 years, or where do you see it?
Well, it's sometimes it saddens me that Canadian cricket is, instead of going forward, I think they are either stuck or they have taken a couple of steps back.
Mhm.
We do have a lot of good talented players, regardless of the nationalities, and they are capable of putting up a good fight with any of the teams that's out there. When I'm saying teams, I mean the other associate teams, not like
Mhm.
the top 10.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, as you mentioned, the cricket is not as dominant as baseball, hockey, or basketball is. The reason being is, Canadian, there's not much funding. So, and for example, I have when I played under 19 here, my captain was a very good player, and he wanted to be a cricket player. As far as I know, since I know him, he
Mhm.
always wanted to be a cricket player. But when the reality struck him, he
Mhm.
has to take care of his family. He has to, he got out a full time job. So when you look at it, if somebody is playing cricket and there is not enough sufficient money coming in or not enough to cover your expenses, even whatever they're providing, it's not enough. Obviously, at the end of the day, you're gonna either gonna move to weekend cricket, which what we are playing right now, and carry on with your Monday to Friday job, which brings you food to the table. So I believe that if Canadian board can think of a way to take care of the players uh, in a better way, or have a better payout so the players don't lose, because every year there's a new player coming up. They don't have a fixed squad. So when the Canadian teams tour a different nation, you will see
Mhm.
there's at least five different new players that has come up. The reason being is that other players has replaced them because they either got a job or they're not interested of playing.
Mhm.
The players are who are there played, they have their family can support them. For example, let's say their father is saying, what, you go play cricket, I will take care of the family, especially the under 19, so they are good. So in a way, we are currently stuck. The only time I would say it can move on if we know we have a better structure. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
we don't have a better structure because in Canada we only play cricket for 5 months or even
Mhm.
4 months a year. Right? You gotta have a better squad. You gotta have your team ready. You gotta have them tour all the time, so the players get interest of it. End of the September season, players not gonna say goodbye. I'm done with it. You can't have that. It's very sad, and we in Canada, in Canadian team, they're gonna lose, and they have lost already many good talented players because of this situation. For example, right now there are many players. I would like to bring out Rizwan Chima. He was, a big shot at one time.
Mhm.
Everybody was saying, "Oh, Rizwan Chima, Rizwan Chima." He got drafted for BPL as well. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if he played any match or not, but after that, he disappeared. He's
Mhm.
still a big name in Canadian cricket, but he had the potential to be a big name around the world. But
Mhm.
just because of the lack of funding or the lack of not taking care of the players, everybody sets a step back down, and that's
Mhm.
where we lose the players.
All right. Abu Bhai, to you, I would ask a bit more about Bangladesh, actually, how they're doing or how the Scarborough Cricket League is doing overall. I'm aware of the division system that they have here. Do you think it is sufficient? It has sufficient structural basis to sustain for many years to come. And if you think that there is a specific zone that there is room for improvement, what would be that?
I mean, Scarborough League is actually the oldest league in Toronto. So this is actually even older than TND.
Mhm.
So one of the things that that has been good with Scarborough, and probably also a weakness, is that they've always been a voluntary association. They don't make money off
Mhm.
of anybody. So
Mhm.
um, as a result, it's been very steady. They've always had interest from teams, but at the same time, the league itself hasn't really improved a lot over the years. So when I say improved, is better facilities, being able to attract sponsorship, and Scarborough League is almost in our terms, management is usually within the family sort of kind of deal, right? So it's always been managed by the same group of people over time, and they're a close knit group. As a result, it's also been able to sustain over a long time as well. But at the same time, there hasn't been a lot of improvement, compared to, for example, like TND or BDCL or Mississauga, where we're seeing lots of new grounds happening, being built over the last couple of years. They're adding floodlights to their grounds. That hasn't happened, and that's mainly because Scarborough League kind of depends on the city to provide some of this, and relying on the city is something that's very slow in Canada, because it's a matter of with the Canadian government, you need to show that you have the people, you have the interest level, and I feel that is slowly picking up. I think there has been a huge influx of people from Asia in general that has helped focus cricket in the last couple of years. And the city is making plans. I mean, I've been in meetings from the city where they're discussing to add 5 new fields within Toronto in the next 5 to 10 years. So also adding floodlights to have longer playing facilities. One of the problems that we've had is you get to play from 9 in the morning till 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. depending on time of the year, and then you're only playing 4 months of the year. So there isn't a whole lot you can do with that. The leagues are trying their best with limited facilities, but what we're seeing is with the global T20 coming in, we're hoping that there is more interest from the private sector to fund some of these ventures as well. And there are other organizations that are also helping, take Canadian talent to tour in the U.S. Canadian college cricket, that is something that has been coming up big time as well. So in general, there are a lot of efforts that are happening. The only deficiency here is that it is a lot of fragments of people doing a lot of things. There isn't a central body that's kind of driving this, providing the funding, and taking cricket to the next level. So as Adipai said, yes, definitely I agree with him that that's one of the big reasons why Canada has been stuck in a rut for a while at the international side.
Thank you so much for that elaborate explanation, Abu Bhai. And it's time for me actually to thank you both for joining me on this episode today. We talked to a type that would be feasible to our Bangladeshi audience and also our audience here in the Eastern Time Zone. Thank you so much for joining. And this is pretty definite that this is your first episode, but definitely not your last on the Silmarillion podcast. We will have you around hopefully for more shows again, and we will talk more about much more other aspects of the game and other stories, other experiences of the game. On that note, I would before ending our show, what I say to our crowd every day, that for the safety of you and your family, please do wear a mask when you head out, and maintain the social distancing, even if there are vaccinations going on wherever you are or not. Please do that for the safety of you and your family. On that note, guys, I will say goodbye today, and we'll see you again until the next time. Take care.
Thanks, Prangan. Have a good one.
Thank you.
I will
Thank you for having
also
us.